Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sunday Morning Quarterback. Today, we are five pastors who love ministry, leadership, and sports. Today, we have the one and only Pastor Erik Reed coming from Lebanon, Tennessee, licking his wounds, though, from that Tennessee game. Pastor Erik, how you feeling?
Feeling sore, feeling bruised. Ego, physically, everything.
Nice. Carolina took an L2. John, your Tar Heels, Drake May not looking too hot.
No, we always lose to Clemson, and anytime we get ranked, it's time to boot back out. So that's where we're at.
Golly, and then Paul's Miami Hurricanes took an – everybody's taking L's, Dad, except our Cowboys. Paul, how you feeling today coming from Brainerd, North Georgia?
Well, we're all in the ICU right now, so it's part of what it means to go through some of these parts of the season and have to deal with some of these losses, but that's all right. You know, we just kind of keep pressing forward. But it's good, man. This week's heading into Thanksgiving. I'm excited. We're going to go see family and stuff, so that's always good.
Yep. Good week. Paul's already got his sermon outline done, and it's only Monday.
You don't have to say that. Oh, my gosh. Stop.
So
it's probably horrible anyway. So
Overachiever.
Yeah, for real. And, you know, Erik, we have another counterpart who's not here today, but I think it's because he's a Carolina Panther fan. And, Dad, I know you enjoyed watching our Cowboys run roughshod all over the Panthers yesterday.
I tried to get him. I said, hey, let's watch the ball game together, man. This is going to be fun. He said, I'm going to be sleeping. So he knew exactly what was coming. And I apologized at the beginning. I said, hey, listen, I'm sorry for what we're about to do to your quarterback. And I think we got like 7 of those bad boys on him. So 7 QB sacks. And so I know his new freshman rookie quarterback that he was excited about is hurting today, just like Adam's ego.
Oh, man. Well, hey, what we'll do is we're pastors. We love sports and we love ministry. So we're going to give some football takes. We'll talk a little pro, talk a little college. We'll make some preacher picks looking forward. And then on the back end, we're going to talk a little bit of ministry and leadership. But let's talk NFL Week 10. We had some interesting things coming out of this past week. We saw Joe Burrow take a fall. For the rest of the season, we saw some interesting games. Pastor Erik, what stuck out to you in this past NFL Sunday?
Well, a few things stood out to me. One, the Titans are completely garbage. They may be the worst team in the AFC this year. That's not a far stretch to make that claim. I think it's fascinating to see the Lions are 8-2. I think that's a quiet story that nobody's really talking about. In my lifetime, they've never, ever been good. And so I think that's fascinating to see happening. And, you know, I think the Josh Dobbs story, while good, I think the bigger story is the fact that Sean Payton actually has the Broncos playing really well.
Yep, I agree. Those are some interesting things. Now, I got to ask, are you Team Tannehill, or are you ready to cut bait and move on and draft a quarterback?
I think it doesn't matter which one's the quarterback because there's no offensive line and they need help a lot of places. So I think at this point, you turn it over to Levis and you build around him. I think that's the smartest thing. And I think that's what they're doing at this point.
Yep, I agree. But you definitely got the coach right, man. He's solid. I
like Vrabel. Right now, you know, people are a little frustrated with him, but I think we got to get the players. It's not, I don't think anybody could coach this team to a better record than what they are. So
Yep. No, I agree. John, what stuck out to you this weekend?
Oh, man, I just picked up the record listing here. Looked at the standings. Browns 7-3. Texans are doing well. Jaguars 7-3. Dolphins 7-3. Lions 8-2. What century are we in?
We are in an alternate universe right now.
What is happening out here? Also, my good friend Kalai Leong sent me this message. He said, stat of the day, there are 4 teams with 5 losses of 7 points or fewer.
Wow.
Right? 5 losses. That's the Chargers, the Vikings, the Patriots, and the Bills. The Bills could be absolutely 11-0 right here.
Yeah.
A couple of those games, just 7 points or less. So that's just out of this world.
And Erik, you were talking about the Lions. You know, they should have lost that game to the Bears yesterday, which I was thinking would have helped our Cowboys in the power rankings. That was a real head scratcher. And then you think back to last year, the Vikings won all those close score games, and then now they're on the flip side of it. Dad, what caught your eye yesterday?
I got to go with Burrow. I thought Burrow and the boys were getting back with it. They lost against Houston. Houston's on the uprise, and that is a story in itself.
CJ Stroud is the deal.
Yeah,
He's
what
the deal.
he is doing right now, unbelievable. And so, and I got to tell you, I watched him like all of us. I mean, he was front and center in college, and I did not see this. So to witness this, to see, his values, being a believer, and to just to see his maturity and his spunk. He made a clip yesterday about how he had 3 interceptions, but he's maintaining his confidence and he's moving forward. And so I can really see him and that Houston team with that new coach going a long ways. Maybe not this year, but I tell you what, nobody wants to play them if they can make it in the playoffs. And by the way, they're playing Jacksonville. And that's going to be one that's going to be for the lead. So if they beat Jacksonville, they will be in the lead in that division, and watch out for them going in the playoffs.
And if they make it to the playoffs, there's no prohibitive MVP, and many people are touting him as MVP right now. That would be wild. We've never seen that before. Paul, your Dolphins are still hanging in there. How you feeling?
Well, I mean, they played against the Raiders yesterday, which surprisingly they played better than what most people thought they were going to play. And so
2-game win streak.
they're gotta, like you've said before, you can't sleep in the NFL because you will get humbled very, very quickly. And that was for sure one of those games where I'm like, this is going to be close. And it's the Raiders, for goodness sake, against the number 1 QB right now, Tyreek Hill, all these guys that are just putting up some crazy numbers. One, I'm thankful we got out of it and they won. But at the same time, it was a scary game to watch for a couple of reasons. One, the fact that the Raiders were actually keeping up, which is wild. And then 2, there were a few moments there where Tyreek is walking off the field. I'm like, oh gosh, no. You got Mozart, same thing, heading to the 10. I'm just like, good night. We're going to fall apart before we even get to the end of the season. But hey, I'm loving living in this alternate universe that you guys don't like. So I'm totally cool with them being 7-3. This is great.
You deserve it. You deserve it. But man, you're seeing the wheels come off everywhere. You see the Ravens are dropping guys and the Bengals, and it's just that time of year. I think 2 things I'm watching is the Chargers dropping to 4-6. Does Brandon? Does he make it through the year? I don't know. Justin Herbert, has he regressed? I feel like he's, year 1, everybody's like he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and then now he's kind of slowed down, and so. If they want to try the Kellen Moore experiment, we know all about that. So go for it. I wouldn't say he's your guy. And then the Broncos, Russell Wilson, man, he took a lot of flack last year, and he's just steadying the ship. He really doesn't have many receivers. I mean, they barely pulled that one out last night. But shout out to Russell and Sean Payton, who is a leader, and he knows what he's doing. So he just needs some time. Hey, let's move on to college. Definitely a few things to keep an eye on. But Pastor Erik, what is your current feeling about the state of the Tennessee Volunteers today?
Yeah, overall, we're in a better place than where we've been the last 15 years. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to say. We're going to go dust Vanderbilt on Senior Day this week, and we'll finish the year 8-4. I think the projections I'm seeing is a bowl game against UNC. That's the thing I'm seeing the most. So here's the thing: 8-4. I think we only had one season that good in the last 10 years before Heupel, and we're upset about it. Yep. So with a little perspective, I'm going to say I'm okay with where we are. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to caveat it. The biggest issue right now with Tennessee fans, our biggest complaint, is that we've got a 5-star quarterback that has been on the bench all year long, and we have an inconsistent quarterback that Heupel just continues to stick with.
Yep.
He's a 6-year guy. He's not, if he hasn't figured it out, he's not going to. And I think our freshman quarterback could have taken us 8-4. I don't think we beat anybody this year that he couldn't have helped us to beat. And so what that means is next year, even though it's supposed to, it's going to be his team, we don't even know what we have in him because we haven't really given him those reps. And what a lot of people in Tennessee are pointing out is Heupel's stubbornness in this area. If Milton wouldn't have got hurt at the beginning of the 2021 season, a lot of people don't remember this. Milton and Hendon Hooker both came into the program Heupel's first year. Milton won the job in the offseason, but was the starting quarterback. Second game of the year against Pitt, he gets hurt. Hendon comes in, sparks the offense, it becomes his team. And then 2022, we have this incredible run behind Hendon Hooker. Most of us now are saying, you know, if Milton doesn't get hurt, Hooker probably never gets his chance because Heupel has so stubbornly stayed with the quarterback that I think he would have rode Joe Milton all the way through 3 years of mediocrity is what I think would happen. So it kind of concerns me a little bit.
Which is interesting because he seems like an offensive guru. I mean, I like what he's done, spreading it out. He's a pro-style coach. Just got to see if he can adapt.
He needs more players. That's the story of college football, recruiting.
Yep. And can he recruit? Dad, what are you making of this whole Michigan thing? Do you think they can keep the wheels on?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I thought so until they played so poorly against Maryland. I thought, you know, Maryland's okay and they're pretty good, but I thought that they'd come back out again and just dominate, but they didn't. They hung around, Maryland did. So I think it's going to be a telltale sign this Saturday when they play Ohio State. I look for them to bounce back, but I'm not as confident as I was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that whole thing is interesting. John, what are you watching?
I'd like to tag on in with that Michigan thing. Man, I think they've been beat down quite a bit media-wise and kind of floundering here, but I think they'll put it all back together. I think they've got enough pressure on them playing the bad guy, essentially like, well, we're just going to go out and win it. And so I think that's good. It's also good to have Erik on, a Tennessee Vol fan that's not caught up in 1998. Get some real honest truth. I appreciate that, the wisdom there. Also, College Game Day comes up to JMU, 26,000 strong.
Wow. Dude, huge.
State comes through.
What an upset.
Breaks hearts. And so there again, Liberty University, the best football program in the state of Virginia.
Good thought.
Wow, who would have thought? And, you know, a few things that are sticking out. FSU, this undefeated season, their quarterback goes down, and they already dropped in the rankings, too, even though they won. Washington winning over Oregon State, that was impressive. That was something to watch. And then Dion, man, he's falling hard. He started off hot, but it is a hard fall. And I think he's really rethinking that whole Colorado thing. In his presser, he's sick. He's in the jacket, and he's thinking, man, Texas A&M might not be a bad deal. Alabama, though, Paul, your second team, you know, Miami's falling off. Alabama's 8-1, still kind of sliding. What are you watching as we get ready for the playoff?
Well, I mean, for this weekend, it's going to be fun watching Michigan and Ohio State. I think all eyes are going to be on that game for sure. I'll be in Alabama, so clearly the Iron Bowl is something that I'm going to be watching as it comes up, because it's basically the Super Bowl for Alabama, because nothing else happens in terms of sports there. That's for sure. But yeah, that's what I'll be watching. And in terms of the Canes, man, like Erik, you said it, bro. It's Fumblegate ever since that Georgia Tech game.
I think it broke them.
It did. The whole sideline was sitting there saying, what on earth are we doing? Like, what is this? It could have been a completely different season had it not been for them just simply taking a knee. Just end the game. That's all you got to do. But
Erik, you know, the bad thing is Paul was getting ready for his sermon on Sunday morning, so he slept, and he had to wake up before he preached with his phone blowing up, and then he had to learn, because he went to bed, they were winning, and then he woke up to that. Did that ruin your sermon, Paul?
No, I mean, it didn't ruin it, but it definitely didn't have me in a peppier mood than what I would have been in. That's for sure.
Oh,
Good
gosh.
night.
It's just a reminder that some of these coaches just overthink themselves, right? It's like, I know they're under incredible pressure. I know they know more things about what's happening in the game than we do just watching as observers. But I think sometimes that leads them to overthinking what is really just basic common sense stuff.
Yeah. Where the intern's running up to you and saying, hey, man, just knee the ball.
Just knee it. What are you doing?
Just knee the ball, bro.
I have a question. Who all thinks Georgia's going to win the national championship again? Number 3.
No.
Anybody?
No.
Okay. If I was going to put my bets on one team, they're the team right now, I'd put them on. But here's what I think could happen, and I kind of want to see happen. I want to see Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship.
Yes.
So that now you've got 2 one-loss SEC teams. You're going to have a one-loss, either Ohio State or Michigan, with a claim to make. And then here's what's interesting. What happens with FSU against Florida or Louisville is going to be also pretty wild, because here, let's play this scenario out. FSU runs the table, but their starting stud is out. Do they put them into the top 4 over a one-loss Michigan or a one-loss Ohio State? or a one-loss Georgia, or a one-loss Alabama. That's going to be really interesting.
Or the one loss Texas, right
Or
there.
one-loss
Yeah.
Texas.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
In the mix, ranked 7th. I think Florida State's going to lose to Florida. I think they're going to
I think they will
backtrack.
too.
I think, obviously Ohio State or Michigan's going to take it. I think Texas gets back up into the top 5, if not maybe 4th.
Next year, this is a non-issue because of the expansion, but I
Yes.
would love to see some chaos this last year.
Yep. You already got some ADs jockeying, so it'll be interesting. Hey, let's look forward to next week, college or pro. Erik, what's a game we call them preacher picks here? What's a game that you're watching that you're picking?
Oof. All right, here we go. I'm gonna pick Auburn to stick around late in the Iron Bowl and possibly pull off the upset.
Wow. Okay.
And here's why I'm going there. They always play Alabama. They always play above their heads against Alabama. And you already watched them do that against Georgia this year. They took Georgia to the wire in Athens.
Fair.
So,
And
no, I'm sorry. Was that in Athens or that was in Auburn? That was in Auburn. That was in Auburn.
Do you see who they lost? Do you see who they lost to Saturday?
I do. But I think that also might be why, they'll be a little bitter. They'll be a little angry. They'll be a little focused. It's the Iron Bowl. It's my keep an eye on an upset pick.
Yep. And Hugh Freeze, man, he can dial it up. So he knows what he's doing. Dad,
hey, let me just say this: Bama by 21.
Ooh, okay. All right. I mean, that's the same.
They are rolling right now. They are rolling.
Dad, Michigan or Ohio State? Who you got?
Michigan
with Harbaugh on at the hotel. Is it at Michigan this year?
Yeah. He's not going to be able to be there, but I think this is what that team needs. They need this game right now. I think if it was against Wisconsin or a good team without him, they could lose. But they need the Ohio State to bounce back again and to win the big one for their coach.
And this is the year because you're starting to hear a lot of chatter about him going to the pros. And so interesting to see how it plays out. I'll shift gears real quick. We got Bills Eagles, which we know we're recording today. The Eagles hopefully take an L tonight against the Chiefs. And then you got them going on the road to Buffalo. So I'm going to go Buffalo trying to save their coach's job. I'll go Bills next Sunday. John, what's a game? Oh, you also got Oregon and Oregon State. That's going to be a good game. John, what are you picking going into next week?
I'm looking at it. I think the Panthers are going to pick up win number 2 against Tennessee Titans. Just throwing that out there. They need a moral victory. It's going to be a tough one. Also, I think you're going to see Brock Purdy lead a good team across Seattle. You're gonna watch him go 8-3. He's doing well. I know people wrote him off. He had a couple bad games, but I think he's back. I think that's the team to beat in the NFL personally.
Paul, what you picking?
Right.
People are sleeping on San Fran.
Yep.
So for me, all eyes are on tonight's game. I want to see Chiefs Eagles. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. And then, Miami will be in New York on Sunday, so that'll be a fun game to watch. Hopefully they can pull it off. It'll be chilly, but we'll see.
Paul, Tua's got 11 from heaven. Micah Parsons coming up, Dallas, Miami in a few weeks, so that'll be a fun one.
Yeah, Dolphins will win in Dallas.
Yeah. Hey, Erik, being right
on that one.
Erik, being right here on the state line, literally half of our church is Georgia fans, half of them are Tennessee fans. So yesterday really almost caused some division amongst our church unity, but we made it through. So.
Well, we got some Georgia fans too, but us Tennessee fans knew going to that game not to get too excited. So we were pretty sober-minded about our expectations.
Well, hey, let's shift gears, fellas, to from sports to ministry and leadership. And Pastor Erik, you're the pastor at Journey Church in Lebanon. You also have your new ministry that you've rolled out called Knowing Jesus Ministries. And if you don't follow Erik on Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter or X, you need to. And Pastor Erik, I've just been following you for years. I'll screenshot a lot of your stuff and send it to my dad or send it to these guys. And so just from a distance, thanks for what you do and what you mean to the church and to just our region. If you would, briefly, before we jump in our first question, just share a little bit about you and your family and where the Lord's got you planted.
Yeah. So I'm married to my wife, Katrina, over 21 years. We have 3 children. Our oldest, Caleb, went to be with the Lord almost 4 years ago. He was 15 years old. And then 2 daughters who both just had birthdays in the last month, 14 and 10. So I'm a dance dad. They are dancers, competitive dancers. And so, man, I can judge a dance if it's good or not. I've got that skill now. And I know good choreo versus not good choreo. So, but yeah,
Nice.
we are living in the town we grew up in. A
very
pastor and planted in the town I grew up in, which is wild.
Yeah.
Never thought that would be the case. I was in the Army for 4 years, so that's the only time I was really ever away. I was in the 82nd Airborne, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and yeah, just I love our church. We're 17 years old. The Lord's just doing, just wonderful things. We're just seeing incredible fruit and getting to be a part of some really neat things that we're doing. We're starting a school right now, and we are expanding our facilities because of growth, but we're also planting churches and revitalizing churches in our area. So we're busy. But it's great. It's all great things. And then the ministry, Knowing Jesus Ministries, is really rifle focused. It's and its efforts toward the next generation, trying to produce resources for churches, for students, and even into the kids ministry world, curriculum camps, conferences. We really have a conviction that if we want the next generation to fight the good fight of faith, that we're going to have to help keep them in the fight, because there's a culture around them that wants to disciple them, and quite honestly wants to devour their faith. And so we're trying to come alongside churches to do that. So
yeah,
that's a summary of everything.
Sure.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, today, to start off our topic, we're going to talk a little bit about the cultural aspect in the last question, but let's start off talking about church. We love talking shop a little bit, and one of your threads you share is talking about decision making and how it makes or breaks a church. And you said that every decision matters. A church is what they are because of the decisions that they have made over the years, and how some decisions weigh more than others. And in the thread, you just kind of summarized that 3 of the decisions you talk about are: who are your leaders, where is the money going, and then are the decisions you making for a specific group or for the well-being of the church. And so if you could just kind of break that down and just kind of share some of your insights or what you're learning and seeing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, decision making obviously is what leaders do, right? Leaders ultimately have to make calls on, are we going to go left or are we going to go right? We're going to go up the hill or around the hill, or are we going to pause and set up camp here? It's like that's the essence of leadership, is you're making decisions, and hopefully you're making decisions in the context of other trustworthy leaders, and with wisdom and discernment and all those types of things, right? Being able to know your context and know the situation, right? All these are factors that weigh into a decision. But ultimately, when you look at where churches are at any given moment, they're there because they've arrived there by a series of decisions over time. And so, I think evaluating how we make decisions and, what kind of decisions we make is ultimately a crucial aspect for a church. And so it's like decisions about what our services look like, decisions about what kind of discipleship process we have, decisions about, do we expand our building or do we add another service? Or, these all matter, right? They all matter. And obviously those are informed by theological convictions. They're informed by practical matters and realities, but the work of leaders is decision making. And so I think when you start breaking down, like, what are the crucial decisions, who you have as leaders may be the most important one. I think whether you have an elder team or a deacon team, right, your governing body, whatever that structure is, I think that matters a lot. Somebody that doesn't align with the vision can derail where a church is going. Somebody who doesn't embody the DNA and the culture that you're trying to create can undo all the things you're trying to do simply by the way they conduct themselves or by the way they talk to other people about those things. And so your leaders matter, right? Whether it's staff, volunteers. So I would start there. That's, I think, crucial.
Good. Dad, this is something that I'd say is in your forte of just mentoring pastors over the years, seeing the good, bad, and the ugly. What's something that resonates with you on this topic, and what's a starting point?
Well, just the decision on who you want to be and who God is making you to be, decision on scripture. At the end of the day, particularly for pastors, I think God's word is a decision that every church must start and begin, because that way that protects you. For instance, I was just talking to a pastor last week about the importance of God's word and how God's word can supposed to keep the unity. And so you don't have to make all the decisions of the world, within the church if God's word is present within the church. So the decision a lot of times is in God's word. So For me, I think for young pastors, it's just get in God's word, allow the word to do its work, and maintain the unity of the church. And so that way, some of the decisions that we have to make a lot of times is a decision that we don't have to make. It's already there.
Yeah, there's some
that's
decisions
kind of
made for us if our pre-commitment is to the scriptures. Right?
Yep. We have to pre-decide sometimes that, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to follow. Pre-decide that God sets the path and God also sets the pace.
Yep.
And that saves us from trying to figure some things out when they're right before us.
And a lot of pastors get caught up on the pace. Their pace is too far ahead of where the church needs to be. John,
Yes.
as a new pastor of your church, you've been there within 2 years. How does this resonate with you in your context?
Yeah, I was thinking through that. Our people, you come in and these are the people that you get to lead with, and so there's learning their personality, their dispositions, those types of things you're trying to determine. Are they functioning in the role that God's called them to? How are they functioning well with that? How are you trying to implement a new DNA? I think probably one of the things that's been a learning curve, I think, for our church is what was just shared. You have this one pastor kind of methodology built up, even though you have a plurality of elders, and they get uncomfortable when you hand authority away to other people. And for right reasons, I think, because they trust you, they see you the most, they talk with you the most, they see those things. But I think we have to appreciate the temporary nature of our calling. And if we don't appreciate the temporary nature, and what I mean is not like in 3 years I'm going to be leaving, but I one day will not be the pastor of this church.
Right.
And how I try to hand that authority away and really become a foundation for other guys to grow up off of is going to create the trajectory for our church over the next few decades. And so even only being here 2 years, the long game's in mind, but the long game is not just my 20 years here.
Yep.
The long game is the next 50 years and
So,
making decisions well.
That is a massive point, because you got to remember our leadership position is a stewardship, right? We are temporary stewards of this role, and we are going to be accountable for how we steward that role, right? But you just hit the nail on the head. That means that if I'm thinking about the health of the church, if I'm thinking about what is good for the church, not just for the church this second, but for our church long term, then if that framework is kind of layered over my lenses for thinking about this situation, then it's going to shape how I make a decision. Because I'm not just thinking like, well, we'll benefit from this, but they'll have to deal with this down the road. It's like, no. If I care about the church that's going to be here 50 years from now, just as much as I care about my comfort or my situation, then that's going to shape decision making. You're exactly right. And that's a commitment to the church first, not my personal comfort as a leader, not what's easy for me, not what will make my life easier. I mean, can I give you all kind of if anybody from my church listens to this, this would be a spoiler for them. Okay. Y'all ready for this? So we're looking at a name change for our church. We are having conversations.
Man, it's big.
Yeah. Super spoiler if anybody at my church listens to this, right? So, our church is called the Journey Church. Now, 17 years ago, in the church planning world, man, that sounded so cool. Now it's one of those things where it's like, does it accurately reflect who we are as a body? Well, it doesn't actually. It doesn't at all. When people show up to our church, we got two things that happen. Some who go, oh, I thought this was going to be a little bit more kind of seeker friendly than what it is, right? Y'all do communion every week. You recite the Apostles' Creed. This is pretty not seeker friendly. And then the other side of it is there's people who are super solid who don't always first give us a try because they go, the Journey Church? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to get there. So here's what we're thinking. The name of the changing of the church name is not just about solving that issue for our church today. It's thinking about long term. When our church is, when I'm gone and all of our leaders are dead and gone, we still want this to be a church that is named in such a way that it accurately reflects what we're about. And so the fact that we're willing to go through the effort, the money, the leadership capital it's going to cost us to go through this, the having to, cast the vision, all of it is worth going through because of the big picture, not because of any necessarily temporary benefit.
That's interesting. Paul, you want to speak into this a little bit?
I mean, you guys are saying a lot of stuff that I think all of us would agree with. And, part of what came to my mind of hearing everything that you guys are saying is just strategic decision making, right? I mean, you're carefully thinking about what's going to be happening next. Yep. To the perhaps discomfort of yourself, the self-sacrifice of yourself for the sake of the flourishing of the church and the furtherance of his name. And sometimes that means, putting yourself aside for what you may want and actually getting some stuff done so that others can walk on that path that you may not even see. Right. But yeah, that's super helpful. And I think what comes to my mind is what you said, Eric, where you need to have a group of people that have that same heartbeat and desire where they're willing to put the church before themselves, put the flock before themselves, and to borrow from Tim Keller, right? And I think it's appropriate, even though it's probably in the meaning of marriage, if I remember correctly, but having that common horizon. If you have that desire amongst the rest of the team to say, this is where we're all heading to, and this is what we're willing to give our lives towards, then your decision-making for where your time goes, where your money goes, where your efforts go, all of that just falls in line because you're giving yourself to that common horizon.
Yeah.
And
when we know where we're going and we understand who we are and the kind of values we want to display and what matters to us, that really begins to shape it pretty clearly. Yep. There's decisions within those, but it creates that lane pretty tight of like, there's only so many things we can do in light of our pre-commitments.
Right. And if you're willing to say, if it doesn't fulfill the mission of what we've set out to say, this is what is mission critical, then, you go from, and sometimes this is helpful for even church plans because you may not have the benefit of other churches where it's like, well, we can do both and. Well, no, it's either or. Like if it's not mission critical, then it's not happening,
Right.
And I think that gives a lot of clarity to how you can make decisions for the benefit of the right now and even into the future.
Pastor Erik, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, one of the things that, years ago we talked about just embedding into the DNA of our church was nobody in our church, no single person in our church gets the right to be the big deal, right? Jesus is the big deal. And nobody, including Pastor Erik, who founded the church, or anybody else, is going to be center stage. It's not going to be about our name. It's not going to be about our greatness. We're not going to ride on their shoulders and make everything about them. And that became a part of our DNA really quickly, which then meant for us, all of our leadership development, everybody that we invited into taking ownership of responsibilities in areas, you name it, the whole no one's a big deal around here kind of DNA really took root. And here's what's really interesting about that. Living in Nashville, you oftentimes get the Lifeway brass, the Ethics Religious Liberty Commission brass. You get the SBC. There's people, right? There's important people around. And what we've noticed is that we've had some important people come be a part of our church for short seasons, and then and they don't last. And you know why they don't last? Because we don't fondle and run, and trip all over ourselves trying to elevate them into any kind of position or role, and they don't like it. And we just said, if you can come be a part of our church, come be a church member, and then if it makes sense, then maybe you can step into a serving role. And like we're not going to elevate you up because people know you on social media. Like our church doesn't care.
Yeah. Interesting. Dad, you look like you want to say something.
No, I mean, I agree with everything that these guys say. At the end of the day, you're right. We are made up of one decision after the next, and they don't stop. They don't stop. And so you can make some good decisions today, tomorrow, next week, but we have to be prayed up. We have to know what God is, how he's leading us, what he's trying to say to us in the direction for the church. And it's his church. It's not ours. So at the end of the day, like you said, Erik, we have to remember that it's his church, not ours. Right. We're followers just like everybody else, but we do have a great responsibility. So those decisions we cannot take lightly. One bad decision makes all the difference in the world.
That's right.
Pastor Erik, go ahead, John.
I just jump in and add, I think, me, year 3 here, every decision matters a lot because you don't have the equity, relational capital, a lot of things. And I think there's a danger after year 10 of foregoing the importance of decision making. Your influence grows, your horizon kind of grows, and the temptation for pride grows because you're the pastor and everyone does more naturally trust you. And so I would say, pastors listening out there, really careful that the same kind of time that you're investing in thinking and praying through decision making doesn't diminish over the duration of your pastorate, because I think that's where some guys get off track. And they go, well, if it doesn't work out, people aren't going to leave. They're not going to, and they're kind of looking at each individual decision isolated, and they're not pushing them all together over the duration of 20 years. And so I just, my encouragement, and I'm not there for, 10, 15, 20 years pastoring here yet, but the same kind of energy pushed into those decision making needs to continue to happen day by day as you move throughout the pastorate at your church.
One of the things I was going to ask that funnels into decision making, Eric, I feel like you see, us evangelicals or pastors tend to be tribal, unfortunately, and it's like you have two groups. You have the theology side, guys that come from a lot of our seminaries, and they really tout like expository preaching and things that are very, very important. But sometimes they sacrifice. So they send so much to that, and they don't give enough to the leadership side, where sometimes you see what would be categorically the seeker side. The books we read are guys on the other side of the aisle that maybe get leadership or little things like, at a church, guest services and assimilation and leadership development, but then maybe they're theologically light. And just coming out of, and I love Southeastern, but just being around some of the people, the different guys that were there, it was like very drastic. Either you only cared about preaching, and you didn't really, you just, I'll let somebody else do it. Why is there that, and that's what resonated, I think, your content with me, is because you're obviously biblically based. That's a core value, and that forms your ministry, but you still give importance to that because it's such a big deal in ministry. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's really good. I think, first off, every person has a natural inclination. I think they either run towards the more theologically intellectual side, or we go to the more practical leadership side. And, look, I went to Southern. I'm a theology nerd. Like that's my natural bent. My natural bent is theology and nerd out. I went through a season planting the church when I discounted leadership big time. Because it was more reactionary against, like, I'm not trying to be, Andy Stanley, Bill Hybels, so therefore I must not have anything to learn from anybody on leadership. And, I would have just said, hey, preach the gospel and just preach the word. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yes, preach the word, but it's not only preach the word. It's not just preach the word. It's preach the word right. And so here's the epiphany I had. I got invited to a leadership event that I was like, it was a free ticket. I didn't really want to go, but I didn't want to say no to the guy. I want to be nice to him, and went to another church. So I went, and this person spoke, and they were basically like, look, where you are as a church right now, in large part, probably has something to do with how you've led the church. And at the time, the church, our church wasn't where I wanted it to be in a lot of ways. And you know how that is. Like, you've got dreams and aspirations of where you want to see the church get to, both in its spiritual formation and reaching people and impacting the community and all those things. And when I went through the metrics, I was just like, gosh, I don't love where we are. I feel like we should be further along than what we are right now. And my theological disposition would have been like, hey, just leave it to the Lord, right? You plant water and, he'll bring the fruit. It's like, yes. But I also was abdicating some things, and it became very clear that I had neglected the leadership part. And I just had this massive conviction that day. And I remember I journaled this. I can go back and find the date. Like, it was so convictional. And it led me down kind of this exploration of what does it mean both to care about the theology of the church and the leadership of the church. And this is where, for me, the framework of really understanding what shepherds do. Shepherds lead the flock and feed the flock. Right? Every church deserves to be well fed and well led, period. And so what we tend to do is we drift towards being feeders, or we drift towards being leaders, but the sheep need both. Mm-hmm. And so I think we have to, one, understand our need to do both. And then 2, surround ourselves with people who can help us to do both.
That's good, Dad. You talk about spiritual awareness a lot. And I even think as a preacher, I always say, if you're a naturally evangelistic preacher, you need to counterbalance yourself to make sure you're giving some meat, and vice versa. If you're super evangelistic, you got to be conscious of the Christian too. But Dad, you talk about this from the aspect of spiritual awareness and leadership and shepherding. Take us out on a thought for this.
Well, I'll just share what I share with our church a lot of times: is spiritual awareness for spiritual engagement. If you're not spiritually aware of the things that are going on around you, what the Lord is doing in and through you and in your community and in your church, it's hard to do spiritual engagement. So if not, then you just do stuff, and it can just be religious stuff. But I think the Holy Spirit is leading and guiding within the heartbeat of the church through the individuals of the church. And then he's taking you on a direction so that you can, proclaim Jesus in a spiritual way, meaning that we are empowered by his leading to do the things that he's calling us to do. So as a church, we're supposed to be spiritually aware of things he's doing around our oikos, our community, and then we're supposed to be spiritually engaged. You cannot do one without the other. So you can be engaged without the spiritual awareness, but I really believe that God is calling us for awareness so that we can have that engagement and make a true difference in our community and our worlds.
Yeah, Joe, was it Blackaby and Experiencing God, right? Find where God is at work and join him.
Join him. Yep.
That's good. Well,
we try to do God's work without God's power, and it just does not work. It looks good, when you're highlighting the things that you've done, but there's no true transformation going on.
Where's the power?
That's good. Well, Pastor Erik, next time, that was good. We'll end there. Next time we'll talk about what it means to hold the line. So if you're in a pastor out there, make sure they're well fed and well led. Fellas, I hope you all have a good Thanksgiving. Pastor Erik, we appreciate it, and we will definitely have you on again.